Hello and welcome to our special show. We're talking to Kareena Kapoor Khan on her new book, a book she calls her third child, The Pregnancy Bible. This book contains everything a soon-to-be mother and father should know about pregnancy, with advice and notes from top doctors. It also includes many of Kareena's personal experiences and challenges. It's an engaging, honest look at pregnancy and life. After all, every woman goes through various emotions, insecurities when pregnant, and so did Kareena, which she talks about quite extensively in this book. Well, thank you so much, Kareena, for speaking to us about your new book. And I'd like to start off by asking you, what made you write this book? Because the way you describe it, you were going through this difficult pregnancy. It was more challenging than your first one. You were doing a movie with Aamir Khan. You were shifting house as well. And there was a pandemic. And on top of all of that, you decided to write this book.
Actually, Chiki just sent me a random message one afternoon that, hi Kareena, and what are your thoughts on, documenting your pregnancies? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, maybe writing a book on your babies and the entire pregnancy journey. And I was like, okay, let me think about it. And I think actually in 20-30 minutes, I replied to her and I said that I think it's a brilliant idea. But the only thing is that I'm actually going to be supremely honest, and I'm actually, is it okay that we'll touch upon every possible topic, and how are we going to make this a one of a kind book, a pregnancy book that can not just be about my pregnancies but can help other mothers as well, when they pick up the book. I want this book to actually, I told her I want this book actually to be a book for all the mothers' bookshelves, but not just for today and not for just the time that they're pregnant. I think the fact that, their children, their daughters, their granddaughters, that's the kind of book that I'm looking at. So will we be able to achieve it? And I think the conversation started from there.
And yes, so you get, your team of doctors also, they've all written in the book, and, they've got their notes, etc. And all the information is from your doctors. But you've been very honest in the book. You've shared so much, which is, you've been so candid, which is really great, I think, for women to read about, your issues with breastfeeding, for example, how the milk didn't come, it took you 2 weeks, and, describing how your mother and nurse were standing on either side of you, and, the insecurities on that front, getting a C-section, which again is something, my friends have gone through. So you've been very, very candid in the book.
The whole idea is that there is obviously this thing that, when a mainstream actor is talking about, her personal life, her pregnancies, her weight, there's this general perception that that nothing is going to be spoken about. Nothing is going to be honest. I think this book actually it has everything. I've given it my all. I've given it, there's no holds bar. There's, like I said, we've touched upon topics that probably, pregnant ladies would be kind of shy, afraid, or, they feel like it's not okay to talk about such things, whether it's, like you said, like not getting enough milk post-delivery, your breasts feeling like kind of, they feel the way they feel, your body kind of challenging you, your mental state kind of, being actually slightly delirious because, you don't get enough sleep. There's a lot of things that we've spoken about through my eyes and what I went through, and which I know that most mothers sometimes want to hear, want to talk about. So
right, and you write in the book about how, you weren't alone in your, the challenges that you were having with breastfeeding. And, and I think that's something that's going to help a lot of women also realize that, they're not alone, because, you see these beautiful posters of a mother and child, and it looks like the most natural thing and the most easy thing, but it is very challenging for many women. About weight gain as well, you've written in your book about, your nutritious diet, but also binging on pepperoni pizzas. And you've been very honest throughout your pregnancy on Instagram. You've been sharing pictures. You modeled as well with your, baby bump. But in the book also you write about, your vulnerable moments when you look at yourself in the mirror one day and suddenly you see all the issues post-pregnancy, and I think all women do that. And so that too has been a very honest thing that you've talked about, and sharing your weight gain at the same time talking about insecurities.
But because I think that these are things that actually are even we should even be like discussing it. These are things that actually, they actually happen. Feelings and insecurities are things that what probably every mother, has to go through in the 9 months. This pregnancy particularly was very, very challenging for me in terms of, mentally and physically, because I got pregnant 2 months after the lockdown. We didn't even know what COVID actually is, and we were living in COVID times. There was a constant, fear, obviously, living in that fear that, am I going to get COVID? Is my baby going to get COVID? How do I protect my baby? How do I still, live a little, live my life? There were so many things going on in your mind. So that is why this Jay's pregnancy was very different to Taimur's, which has been written in the book. And actually talking about it to Aditi, who's also co-authored the book with me, I think that has been actually, sometimes after delivery, reliving that moment and those fears and insecurities. I mean, till today, it kind of, it shakes me up. Because nobody really thought, I never thought that I would be pregnant in COVID.
Right, and when you're pregnant,
we're actually living here in COVID times right now.
No, absolutely. And then you filmed with Aamir Khan. You write about how you were in Delhi and how you travel long distances to go for your filming and returning. Tell us a bit about that. That must have been so challenging. And your sister's written a note about how she wasn't even aware. You told her only after the filming how there were some 200, 300 people on set, and she talks about how she used to feel very teary about you, because you're absolutely right. I think many people have been through so many insecurities during the pandemic, and to be pregnant during the pandemic, it's just a whole other ball game.
No, of course, absolutely. I think that, 100%, I have to give the credit to Aamir for being absolutely wonderful and taking such security measures, to have actually not knowing what is COVID, and to have an artist on set who's 5 months pregnant. So I give him all the credit for actually looking after me and actually believing in and having faith in our entire crew that we actually had this bubble, and to constantly be testing them. We had a very comfortable shoot. I used to commute from Pataudi to Delhi because I had requested Saif to come with me for the shoot, because Taimur was also, with me, and I wanted him to be comfortable. So I knew that he'd be comfortable at home. So I would take the pressure a little bit on myself to commute to Delhi every day. So I had an hour and a half journey in the car every day. And we shot late nights mostly, like probably all night. Sometimes we would start at 6 in the evening and pack up at 6 in the morning. And I was constantly in touch with my gynecologist, asking him, the main thing was that, I just want to know if the baby would be safe. And like, if I am working and I am not getting rest, how is it affecting my baby? So he was like, if you are getting 8 hours of sleep in the day, you can be working in the night. That's totally fine. He was like, it's the most normal thing. And he was like, in fact, if there's little movement and you're walking also, or you're doing things, he was like, the baby will sleep quite well, because they don't know whether it's night or day. They're just constantly sleeping. He was like, just keep washing your hands, wear your mask, and, keep the faith. And that's exactly what I did. And it was a brilliant shoot. So yeah, in Laal Singh Chaddha, there will be a part where actually my son is practically in the movie. In fact, he's in this romantic song with Aamir and me.
Wonderful. You fainted also once. I can't remember in the book if it was during the filming or whether it was when you were shifting house, but you talk about how you even fainted once.
Yeah, no, it was not during the movie shoot. I was, in fact, 8 months pregnant, but I was at a shoot and we were going to start shooting. But that day, I think it was the heat, it was the humidity. I just kind of, all the mental stress of, that, we were like in the middle of this lockdown. Maybe it was everything come together where I just couldn't get myself out of the van. I couldn't get myself together. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I felt like I was going to faint. And I actually sat down and I said, I can't go ahead with this particular shoot right now. And I was almost 8.5 months pregnant. So, it was just that sometimes that mental pressure also gets to you,
No,
and it has been difficult. we have been living in difficult times.
No, absolutely. And yes, mental pressure, I think something all of us have been living with for the last year and a half. But tell us a bit about your friends, because you talk about, the support you get from your girlfriends, and you talked about these potluck lunches that all of you all did. And it's very evident from your social media, you have this nice gang of girls. So tell us a bit about that.
So I think, my support system is my family and my friends, because it's very close knit, because it's, my family is my mother, my sister, my father. We're all, that's my support system. And my girlfriends, I think, give me, it's like I just feel like they're like my oxygen, where, actually when we meet and we sit together and we talk, and it's like they give me that extra life, which they did give me through COVID, through my pregnancy. Earlier, for the first 6 months, we couldn't meet because it was a complete lockdown. And when we started opening up in the last trimester, we started meeting. So whether, whether it was my sister, whether it was Amrita, we were constantly trying to at least see each other every 2-3 days to kind of, actually just huddle together and just get that support and that comfort each other. And I think I'm very lucky and blessed to have that in my life, So if you have 5 good friends in your life also, I think it's absolutely great. You don't need anything else.
All right. Now tell us about, Saif and this book. Saif comes across as the ideal husband. So I think every man should read this book just to, take lessons from Saif, how he cooks for you, how he used to press your feet. You talk about his lovely little note at the end. What were his inputs when he read the book? Did he want you to change anything? You're very honest. You also talk about, losing your mojo during pregnancy, how your sex drive went for a couple of months, and how he was very understanding.
I think that, Saif is anyway very chilled out. He's very relaxed. He's someone who's, he's somebody who's hassle-free. And that's the way he wants to live his life. It's not about the fact that ideal husband. He was cooking also. I mean, he loves cooking, but he had that because we all had a lot of time on our hands, considering, we were all in this lockdown. So we all got a lot of time together. I think that's been the silver lining, that Taimur got so much time with Saif and me together through the pregnancy. Now, after Jay's birth, we got so much time as well, with him the first 2-3 months. So that kind of has, helped us, and as a unit and a family, I think that's really, really helped us together and given us some good memories. The fact that we've spent a lot of time. Well, Saif, I mean, cooking, doing things, he likes that. He's a family man. He likes the fact that, he likes his family around him all the time. That's the thing. The only thing in the book that I actually asked him was when he wanted to see all the photographs. He was like, what photographs of mine are you using in the book? So I was like, there are quite a few. He was like, I want to see all the pictures. So he kind of saw all the pictures and he was like, they're really nice. And he's very supportive. And I think in that sense, yes, I would say that I'm lucky, because he's very understanding. I mean, to support me and, to help me complete Laal Singh Chaddha also, and to come to Pataudi and give that time, to be with Taimur while I filmed. I think that is something that we have this pact, so which I think works really well for us.
All right, and let's talk about Taimur now. You in your book you talk about having that conversation with your child that he's going to have a sibling soon, and how you went about it, his reactions to it, and how has Taimur been with Jahangir? Taimur, since the day he's born, he's been one of the most famous babies and now toddlers, I think, in this country. Everybody just keeps oohing and eyeing over his pictures. Is that something he's aware of? And I've seen you've been very careful about sharing pictures with Jay so far. Is that a conscious decision?
I think that it is a conscious decision, because I think the fact that there was so much, the whole media frenzy on, Taimur and what's his name and, just generally like everything, where's he going, what's he doing, what's he eating, there's all of that. So I think this time round, just need a little bit of a breather. At the end of the day, they are kids. They need to have their space. They need to have their time. And I don't want anybody to be so interested in them. It's something that, they should be allowed their space to grow, not this constant pressure of, being in the limelight right now. So I think that's why we've taken this decision for Jay. And Taimur, coming back to your earlier question, I think he's overwhelmed and thrilled, and we were worried at first that if he would be, slightly jealous, or that slight feeling of like, okay, there is someone new in the house. But, I think Taimur is so wonderful that he's actually protective about him now. When one or two of his friends come over now, he's like, have you seen my brother? Have you seen him? Have you said hello to him? This is the way he'll ask his friends. So he's, and we also like sometimes tease him and tell him that, okay, shall you, me and Saifur, me and Tim, should we go on a holiday? I'll ask him, and he'll be like, no, not without Jay. So he's already in 6 months, he's protective. He's got that older brother vibe, So I think in that sense, it just worked out perfectly fine. There was never that insecurity, and I think me and Saif also balanced it out a little bit.
Tell us one name that you considered and discarded for Jahangir.
We never really considered. I don't know. It was even for Taimur also. It was just a name that that we liked. The idea is that as a family we like the names of our children. It's not like we had any pre-planned list or anything. Aise kabhi nahi. We never really sat and even had that thought, okay, let's write down. I think wo jo ek aata hai, ek feeling hai, and we both liked the name. We just named the kids that.
All right. In the book, when Saif writes his note in the end, and he talks about before you got married and how ambitious you were, and how you were worried about marriage at becoming some sort of whether it would come in the way of you being the top film star or in your career, and he also talks about how you considered surrogacy at one point. Was that a serious conversation? Because this is something I think many families have been through, and being in the limelight, being a film star, end of the day, your shape, your weight is something that is a bit of a concern.
Yeah, but when it comes, I'm the kind of person that whatever I do, I like. It's full on. It's 100%, and that's the way I want to. Whether it was, when Saif and me got married, everyone was like, of course the career's over. Now it's a trend that you can be married and, still have a great career. So, but 12 years ago when I did it, it was like, okay, you'll probably not get any more work, and, this is like the worst decision ever. And why would you do that? And even now, after like one baby or two babies, or like people asking me that, oh, you sure you want to write this pregnancy book or whatever. But I'm the kind of person that if I like it, I'm enjoying it, I want to do it, I would do it. And surrogacy, I think it was just like a fleeting conversation that, is it something to opt for? So I was very clear that, like, I think both of us decided that, if God wants it, if it's going to happen, let's try for it. And if it happens, great. And, so be it. I think God was kind, and that's just the way it was. But I think it was just something that, like a conversation that you talk about that, okay, like, is it an option? But I think both of us decided that, let's give it a shot first before we, moved ahead of the situation.
All right, and what next for Kareena Kapoor Khan? You have a film with Aamir Khan coming out later this year. There was talk that you were getting 12 crore. You wanted 12 crore for a film, which was, and then other actresses came out in support of you. But I think that was fake news. I'm not quite sure. So if you could answer that. And so what next for you? You've written a book. You're coming out with a film with Aamir Khan. You do a radio show as well. So tell us.
I've been exploring and different avenues is something which I'm exploring now, whether it's, doing the radio show, whether it was writing the book, whether it's now, I'm going to announce my next film now soon, which I'm very, very excited about. And hopefully we're going to be, with all COVID protocols, we're going to start shooting the film also in November. It's a very different kind of film. It's a, it's this film, a dark kind of space, which I've never done before. So, wanting to do something completely different and out of the box now, that's what I want to do. That's the idea. That's the plan.
Thank you so much, Kareena, for joining us on the program, and all the best with your book.
Thank you so much. Thank you.